Bullies sexually assaulted girl in cafeteria, security cameras got them arrested. An inspiring story by Heartfelt Tales. Maya Chen never imagined that one ordinary Tuesday would change everything. As she walked through the crowded cafeteria of Westfield High, balancing her lunch tray and trying to find an empty seat, she had no idea that in less than 60 seconds, her world would be turned upside down, and that security cameras would capture every moment of what happened next. What started as another day of enduring whispered comments and cruel stares would escalate into something so shocking that it would send 3 teenage boys to juvenile detention and spark a movement that would transform her entire school district. This is Maya's story, a testament to courage, justice, and the power of standing up when everything seems hopeless. Before we dive into this incredible story, if you believe in standing up against bullying and want to hear more inspiring tales like this one, please hit that like button and subscribe to Heartfelt Tales. Your support helps us share stories that matter. Maya had always been different, and in the cruel ecosystem of high school, different meant vulnerable. Standing barely 5 feet tall with thick glasses and a quiet demeanor, she had become an easy target for a group of boys who seemed to find entertainment in making others miserable. For months, she had endured their taunts about her appearance, her accent from when her family immigrated from Taiwan, and her academic success that they mockingly called teacher's pet syndrome. The harassment had escalated gradually, like a slow poison seeping through her daily life. It started with whispered insults in the hallways, evolved into accidental shoulder bumps that sent her books flying, and progressed to having her backpack mysteriously emptied in the courtyard. Maya's parents, hardworking restaurant owners who barely spoke English, didn't fully understand the complexities of American school social dynamics. When Maya tried to explain, they would simply say, "Study harder, make friends, everything will be okay." But everything was not okay. The 3 boys, Jake Morrison, Tyler Webb, and Marcus Rodriguez, had made Maya their primary source of entertainment. Jake, the ringleader, was a star athlete whose charm with teachers masked his cruelty toward vulnerable students. Tyler and Marcus were his loyal followers, desperate to maintain their status in his inner circle by participating in increasingly bold acts of harassment. The cafeteria had always been Maya's least favorite part of the school day. The massive room filled with hundreds of students felt like a gladiator arena where social hierarchies were brutally enforced. She had learned to time her lunch break to avoid peak hours, usually arriving early to grab a quick meal and retreat to the library. But on this particular Tuesday, her chemistry lab had run late, forcing her into the cafeteria during the busiest period. As Maya navigated through the maze of tables, she noticed Jake and his friends sitting in their usual spot near the center of the room. They spotted her immediately, and she could see them exchanging glances and smirking. Her stomach knotted with anxiety, but she forced herself to keep walking, hoping they would leave her alone for once. She had almost made it to an empty table in the corner when she felt it, a sharp snap against her back followed by the elastic sting of her bra strap. The sound echoed through the nearby area, and she spun around to see Jake standing behind her with a satisfied grin, his hand still positioned from yanking her bra strap through her shirt. "Oops," Jake said mockingly, loud enough for surrounding students to hear. "Guess somebody needs to learn how to dress properly." The cafeteria seemed to freeze around Maya. Hundreds of eyes turned toward her as she stood there, humiliated and shaking. Tyler and Marcus burst into laughter, making exaggerated gestures and crude comments about her body. Other students either joined in the laughter or looked away uncomfortably, unwilling to get involved. Maya's face burned with embarrassment as she clutched her lunch tray, trying to process what had just happened. The physical violation felt like a slap, but the public humiliation cut even deeper. Tears welled up in her eyes as she heard snippets of conversation around her, some students expressing sympathy, others making jokes, and many simply pretending nothing had happened. "What's wrong, Maya?" Jake continued, his voice dripping with false concern. "Can't take a little joke? Maybe you should go back to where you came from if you can't handle American humor." Something inside Maya snapped. For months, she had endured their harassment in silence, believing that staying quiet was the safest option. But this violation crossed a line she hadn't even known existed. With her voice trembling but determined, she spoke loud enough for everyone to hear. "You had no right to touch me like that. What you just did is assault, and I'm reporting it." Jake's confident expression faltered for just a moment before returning to its usual smugness. "Good luck with that," he sneered. "Who's going to believe you? It's just your word against ours, and everyone knows you're a liar who makes up stories for attention." But Maya was already walking toward the cafeteria supervisor's station, her legs shaking but her resolve strengthening with each step. Mrs. Patterson, the lunch monitor, had witnessed the commotion from across the room and was already approaching. "Maya, are you all right?" "I saw some kind of disturbance over there," Mrs. Patterson said, her voice filled with genuine concern. Through tears and stammering words, Maya explained what had happened. Mrs. Patterson listened intently, her expression growing more serious with each detail. When Maya finished, the supervisor immediately called for backup and began the process of documenting the incident. "Maya, I want you to know that what happened to you is completely unacceptable," Mrs. Patterson said firmly. "We have security cameras throughout the cafeteria, and we're going to review every second of footage from today. No student should ever have to endure what you just experienced." The mention of security cameras sent a visible shock through Jake, Tyler, and Marcus, who had been watching the conversation from their table. Jake's cocky demeanor began to crack as the reality of potential evidence set in. Within an hour, Maya found herself in the principal's office alongside her parents, who had been called immediately. Principal Williams, a stern but fair administrator, had already begun reviewing the security footage with the school's resource officer. Maya's parents, despite their limited English, understood enough to recognize the gravity of the situation. Her mother held her hand tightly while her father's face showed a mixture of anger and protective determination. "Maya," Principal Williams said gently, "I've reviewed the footage, and I want you to know that what happened to you is clearly documented. There's no question about what occurred or who was responsible. This behavior is not only against our school policy, it constitutes sexual harassment and assault." The security footage was damning. The cameras had captured every moment of the incident from multiple angles. Jake's deliberate approach to Maya, the intentional yanking of her bra strap, and the subsequent harassment were all clearly visible. The footage also showed the reactions of surrounding students and provided a complete picture of the humiliation Maya had endured. Officer Martinez, the school's resource officer, explained to Maya and her parents that the incident would be referred to the district attorney's office for potential criminal charges. "What these boys did goes beyond school discipline," he said. "This is sexual assault, and under state law, it's a serious offense regardless of the perpetrator's age." The next few days were a whirlwind of interviews, statements, and legal proceedings. Maya had to recount the incident multiple times to various officials, each telling forcing her to relive the humiliation. But with each retelling, she felt her voice growing stronger and her confidence returning. The three boys initially tried to minimize their actions, claiming it was just a harmless prank. Jake's parents hired an expensive attorney who attempted to portray the incident as typical teenage behavior blown out of proportion. However, the clear video evidence made denial impossible, and the prosecutor was determined to send a message that sexual harassment would not be tolerated in schools. As news of the incident spread through the school, Maya was surprised by the support she received. Students who had remained silent during the cafeteria incident began approaching her to share their own experiences with bullying and harassment. Many admitted they had wanted to help but were afraid of becoming targets themselves. Sarah Martinez, a senior who had witnessed the incident, became one of Maya's strongest supporters. "I'm so ashamed that I didn't say anything when it happened," Sarah told her. "But seeing your courage in reporting it has inspired me to speak up too. I've been documenting harassment incidents for months, and I want to help make sure this changes things." The legal process moved swiftly. Within 2 weeks, all three boys were charged with sexual harassment and assault. Jake, as the primary perpetrator, faced the most serious charges. The video evidence was so clear that plea negotiations began almost immediately. During this time, Maya struggled with conflicting emotions. While she was relieved that justice was being served, she also felt guilty about the consequences the boys would face. Her parents, however, remained firmly supportive of pursuing full accountability. Maya, her father said in his careful English, "What they did was wrong. You did nothing wrong. Justice is not about revenge, it's about making sure this never happens to another girl." The case concluded with all three boys pleading guilty to reduced charges. Jake was sentenced to 30 days in juvenile detention, 200 hours of community service, and mandatory counseling. Tyler and Marcus received probation, community service, and were required to attend sensitivity training. All three were also expelled from Westfield High and required to complete their education at alternative schools. But the impact of Maya's courage extended far beyond individual punishment. The incident sparked a comprehensive review of the school district's anti-harassment policies. New training programs were implemented for students, teachers, and administrators. Security measures were enhanced, and reporting procedures were streamlined to make it easier for victims to seek help. Maya herself became an inadvertent activist. She was invited to speak at school board meetings, community forums, and other schools about the importance of standing up to harassment. Her quiet voice, which had once made her a target, became a powerful tool for change. "I never wanted to be the girl who got 3 boys sent to jail," Maya said during one of her speeches. "But I realized that staying silent wasn't protecting anyone, it was just enabling their behavior to continue and escalate. Every student deserves to feel safe at school, and sometimes that means having the courage to speak up when something is wrong." The transformation at Westfield High was remarkable. The culture of silent complicity that had allowed harassment to flourish began to shift. Students started speaking up when they witnessed bullying, teachers became more vigilant about monitoring interactions, and administrators took reports more seriously. Maya's academic performance, which had suffered during the months of harassment, began to improve dramatically. She joined the debate team, where her experience advocating for herself translated into powerful public speaking skills. Her confidence grew, and she began forming genuine friendships with classmates who admired her courage. The 3 boys who had tormented her faced their own journeys of consequence and hopefully, growth. Jake's time in juvenile detention was reportedly difficult, but he eventually enrolled in counseling and began working on understanding the impact of his actions. Tyler and Marcus completed their community service and participated in programs designed to address bullying behavior. 1 year after the incident, Maya received an unexpected letter. It was from Marcus Rodriguez, who had completed his court-ordered programs and was attending a different school. "Maya," the letter read, "I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, and I'm not asking for it. I just wanted you to know that the counseling I was required to attend helped me understand how wrong we were and how much we hurt you. I grew up thinking that kind of behavior was normal, but I know now it was assault. I'm working to become a better person, and I volunteer at an anti-bullying program now. I hope you're doing well, and I'm sorry for what we put you through." Maya was moved by the letter, though she wasn't ready to respond. Her therapist, whom she had been seeing to process the trauma and its aftermath, helped her understand that healing didn't require forgiveness, but it could include hope for change in others. As Maya prepared for graduation, she reflected on how dramatically her life had changed since that terrible Tuesday in the cafeteria. The shy, frightened girl who had endured months of harassment had evolved into a confident young woman with a clear sense of her own worth and power. She had been accepted to several prestigious universities with scholarships, partly based on her academic achievements and partly due to her advocacy work. Her college essays about overcoming adversity and fighting injustice had impressed admissions committees across the country. During her valedictorian speech at graduation, Maya addressed her classmates with wisdom beyond her years. 2 years ago, I thought my only choice when facing cruelty was to endure it silently, she said. I believed that speaking up would only make things worse, and that somehow I deserved the treatment I was receiving. I was wrong on both counts. The truth is that silence in the face of injustice is not peace, it's complicity. When we allow others to be harmed without speaking up, we become part of the problem. But when we find the courage to stand up for what's right, even when we're scared, even when it's hard, even when we're standing alone, that's when real change begins. I'm not grateful for what happened to me in that cafeteria, but I'm grateful for what it taught me about my own strength and about the power each of us has to make our community better. Every single person in this room has the ability to be someone's hero just by refusing to look the other way when they see something wrong. The audience erupted in applause, and Maya could see her parents in the crowd, their faces glowing with pride. Mrs. Patterson, the cafeteria supervisor who had first believed and supported her, was wiping away tears. Even Principal Williams, typically stoic, seemed moved by her words. After graduation, Maya went on to study law with a focus on civil rights and student advocacy. She remained active in anti-bullying initiatives throughout college and beyond. The incident that had once seemed like the worst moment of her life had become the catalyst for a career dedicated to protecting others from similar experiences. Years later, when speaking to student groups, Maya would always end with the same message: you are stronger than you know, your voice matters more than you think, and standing up for what's right is always worth it, even when it's scary. Especially when it's scary. The security footage that captured Maya's humiliation in that cafeteria also captured the moment a victim became a survivor became an advocate, and an advocate became a force for change. It serves as a permanent reminder that justice is possible, that courage is contagious, and that sometimes the worst moments in our lives can become the foundation for our greatest triumphs. Maya's story proves that when we refuse to accept injustice, when we stand up despite our fear, and when we use our voices to speak truth, we don't just change our own lives, we change the world around us for everyone who comes after. If Maya's story of courage and resilience touched your heart, please show your support by hitting that like button and sharing this video with someone who needs to hear this message. Your engagement helps us reach more people with these important stories of triumph over adversity. Don't forget to subscribe to Heartfelt Tales and ring that notification bell so you never miss our latest inspiring stories. We have more incredible tales of ordinary people doing extraordinary things, and your subscription helps us continue sharing these powerful messages of hope and courage. Leave a comment below sharing your thoughts on Maya's journey or your own experiences with standing up for what's right. Your stories inspire others and create a community of support for those who need it most. Remember, every voice matters, every story counts, and together we can create a world where courage conquers cruelty. Thank you for watching Heartfelt Tales, where every story has the power to change lives.